So this session is about designing a sustainable future. And I've also entitled it about values-driven innovation, because it is the values of His Majesty and Sir Johnny Ive about caring and being in harmony with people, planet and nature that led to the set-up of the Terra Carta Design Lab, which is part of what is known as the Sustainable Markets Initiative. Now, that Sustainable Markets Initiative is 250 global CEOs convened by His Majesty the King in order to be able to put a focus on how we can build that more sustainable world. The world's biggest global corporations are part of that. And the Terra Carta Design Lab, and let me just explain about Terra Carta. The Terra Carta is a Magna Carta for the Earth. So, 900 years after the Magna Carta, we now have a Terra Carta. And because the sky is not the limit, there's now an Astra Carta as well. So, you've got to watch out for that and invite us back next time to talk about the Astra Carta too. A few little words of kind of to illustrate some of this first for you. The importance of our planet, I think we all understand. And there is a little while ago, I was listening on the radio, and the following words came on, and I thought it must be the poet Lem Sisse, who famously wrote, "I am not defined by my scars, but my incredible capacity to heal." And a marvelous individual. But these were the words, and they were the following: "I do not accept I am a victim of circumstance. I am the remedy." Now, think of that. We live in a world where there is a narrative. Even the greatest nation on the planet and its leader describes themselves as victims. Well, if you are in the world of design, you are in the world of innovation, then you have to choose not that narrative, but the narrative of being the remedy. That inspired me, and it also, to me, is an inspiration, because I see it every day with Joey today and Soma, who are just examples of the marvelous graduates that emerged from the Royal College of Art and set up incredibly exciting and also successful ventures. Now, you don't need any introduction from me to explain that there's a lot of innovation. This is an amazing moment for technological innovation. Do you feel that? You know, I've waited 60 years to see this kind of transformation, this happen. And it's happening right now. And the reason I mentioned 60 years, you go back to the 1960s, and I was part of that. And it was a time when one was in some mind-enhancing moments too. But it was a world of very, very exciting innovation, data processing, nuclear power, the energy sources were changing, new materials were emerging, and there was also innovation happening in society with civil rights and so many other things, and the birth of the environmental movement. You go back another 60 years and we have the innovation in planes and trains and cars around 1900. Go back another 60 and you find it is all about telegraphy and steam engines and everything else. And back another 60. So every 60 years, economists argue why, but you're in one right now. And the younger people that are in this room might even be in a second one as well. But you've got to, this is when the tectonic plates move. And it's important that you understand that. But we also have an incredible set of needs. One perfect storm of technological capability meets a perfect storm of need. Now, dates are very important to me. I am not at the beginning of my life where life feels infinite. So let me show you a number and also a set of dots. Can everybody see every dot on that screen? Right from the back of the room. There are 6,000 dots on there. There are 5,420 working days to 2050 when we can truly say whatever shit we've thrown into the air is going to hit a bloody great big fan. Make sense? Can you see this week on there? Can you see two of those dots which are today's forum? Can you see the rest of this year? Many of you will be thinking, thank God I'm going to be retired by then. Is that all I've got to work through? All right? Others of you will be sitting there hoping, well, in my case, I'm still around. at that point. But I just want to make this point because we need to act with urgency. And we also need to act on a basis of our values, because our values and the missions that come out of those values are what makes innovation truly worthwhile and meaningful. So I put this together because our values-driven innovation model says, take the mission, take design, add purpose, add focus, informed by your values, so driven by those, work in collaborative ways, participatory ways, and drive that innovation model. Understanding that you also have to incorporate that kind of economic sustainability, a kind of business way of thinking, and use technology not to be driven by it, but to harness the power. Human first, artificial intelligence second. Make sense? Does to me as part of it. So that is how we've created the Terra Carta Design Lab, and that design lab, created literally in the garden at Highgrove by His Majesty and Johnny Ive, was set up to create inspiring projects that could turn into ventures, that could turn into impactful businesses. So our 2022 winners, and we run this every couple of years, have already raised over 85 million pounds in investment and have products that are in the market. In fact, Notpla, which is one of the ones that you see there, you're going to enjoy that, not just perhaps this weekend if you go to a Premier League football match, not just if you go to Wimbledon in May where your strawberries will be served in this container that includes plastics that are made from seaweed, but your lunch today is packaged with Notpla packaging as part of it. And you see some of the other ventures, including our famous cow, Zelp. Do you know how many cattle there are on the planet? Any guesses? Come on, somebody must have a guess. 1 billion. Tom, thank you. Well, close but not quite. 1.6 billion cattle on the planet. They belch more methane as a greenhouse gas that contributes more to greenhouse gas emissions than all the aviation, all the planes that fly. Capture just a fraction of that, and it's like taking all of the UK's or Mexico or whoever, whichever country, most countries' entire carbon emissions out. And that venture has raised over 30 million pounds now. Hundreds of thousands of cattle are now working in the first pilots. It just gives you an idea of how these ventures come together. But we're going to talk about some of these ventures, and I'll let Joey and Soma explain a little bit about what they're working on. But there were 10 ventures this year that became our finalists. You're going to hear from Joey, who was one of the winners, and it is this group that are now raising millions of pounds. So if we've got some investors in the room, get ready to learn about these. If you are from Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Unilever, Halion. If you've got packaging, you're going to learn about something that's of real interest to you as well. So pin back, Jennifer, I can see you. I've got this, you are there. Imagine putting an RFID tag without plastics and metals into, just in the paper of everything, with nothing else, just printed. Imagine that and what that would mean to your supply chain, your tracking, your transforming customer experience. That's what we're going to be talking about. Now, we present these ventures to not only His Majesty, but all of those 250 global enterprises. Some of those enterprises that are part of the King's Sustainable Markets Initiative, you're in the room today. And you can see us at the Palace presenting those. And to kick us off, for the world of logistics and transportation, I'm going to introduce Joey to tell us about Blue Nose. So, Joey, over to you. And it's the green button, so I believe. Right.
Hello, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. My name is Joey Sangar, and I am one of the co-founders of Blue Nose. The mission of Blue Nose is to reduce the environmental footprint of the shipping industry. I would say 15% of their fuel consumption can be due to air drag. And when you specifically take the case of container ships, you have a first wall of container, which is not aerodynamic at all. So we created an algorithm that allows us to generate optimized bespoke shapes that we then install on the ships in order to profile the airflow, reduce air drag, and thus reduce fuel consumption. What's special about our wind deflectors is that they are inflatable, made of an assembly of modules that we're able to control in order to adapt the shape to make sure that we have at all time the most optimal shape. It's also more scalable because we're able to mass produce those modules and lighter. Thanks to that, we can reduce fuel consumption of the ships by up to 5%, and that's on average $800,000 per ship. Our business model is centered around the sale of those units as equipment, and also with some recurring revenue from maintenance. We project that recurring revenue to be around 20% of our turnover in the next 5 years. We evolved in a market that is estimated to be at 5 billion when we look at European container ships. But if we take other kinds of ships like bulk carriers or tankers, we have a total addressable market of more than 22 million. So it's a very big market, but we have a bit of competition. What differentiates us is that we are the only solution that is at the same time retrofitable, meaning we can be installed on already built ships, economical, non-dependent on weather. For example, that would be the case for wind propulsion solutions. Our go-to-market strategy is to be where it matters. So we won the Terra Carta Design Lab competition. We got the honor to meet His Majesty and also very key stakeholders in the maritime industry, for example, the Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization. This led us to sign our first collaboration contract with a shipping company and also to win an award from Innovate UK of £350,000 to develop further our solution. Today, we've raised around $750K in grants and dilutive funding. We have a patent that is pending worldwide in very strategic territories like the US, South Korea, or Japan. And we are about to deploy our first full-scale solution in the next 12 to 18 months. We have a team that is very, I would say, experienced in the subject. So I'm the CTO of the company. Leon is the CEO out of Imperial and of course the Royal College of Art. And we have a very strong advisory board. For example, I can cite Jean-Marc Lacave, which is one of the ex-general director of CMA CGM, one of the biggest shipping company in the world. To accelerate our roadmap, we're looking to raise £1.5 million to get our first solution on the market. Thank you for your attention.
Joe, brilliant. I think just what you see, and we'll have time for questions after Soma has spoken, but what you can see from this is Joe is an engineer, a business leader, an entrepreneur, a designer. You can see that the business model emerges almost contemporaneously with the technological solution, but also a kind of deep understanding of what the needs are. Now, Joe, you decided to go for shipping because I know 95% of all world trade, so none of us would be sitting here without ships, I can tell you. So making them more efficient because 95% of world trade is quite concentrated on container ships. Tell us about how concentrated that is.
It's actually very concentrated on container ships. If we take the 5,000 container ships that exist in the world, that's not much, but that's cover the entire world. That would be responsible for 1% of the global greenhouse gases emissions. So if we're able to really intervene in that population with a few effort, we will be able to have tremendous, very big effects on that issue. Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your background too, Joe.
Yeah, so I have a background in engineering, of course, but I've been passionate by the sea since I was very, very young. It's also one of the reasons that we fitted well with my co-founder and CEO of Blue Nose. We're both passionate by the sea, but on his side, it's more more of a lifestyle thing, whereas on my side it's more like a technical thing. And of course, we were supported by the RCA. They have been really good champion of our development and are pushing us to achieve great things. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Soma. I'm one of the co-founders of a startup called Pulpatronics, and we are very much focusing on developing more sustainable RFID tags. And then you might be wondering what RFID really stands for. So RFID is short for radio frequency identification. And you can think of these as kind of like a smarter version of a barcode. So RFID tags are embedded in product packaging, clothing hang tags, for example. And they're used for kind of like inventory management purposes, from stock counting all the way to anti-theft measures, as well as self-checkout machines. But what you probably didn't know is that every year over 45 billion of these RFID tags are manufactured for very much kind of like a disposable use case. So for example, by being embedded in clothing hang tags, they typically get thrown away after a short lifespan of only having been scanned a couple of times. And if you think about it, because the tags contain a plastic substrate, an aluminum antenna, layers of adhesives, they're quite resource intensive, costly, and polluting to manufacture. So Pulpatronics creates an alternative that is fully recyclable and completely metal-free. We are making RFID tags solely out of paper, and doing that, we are able to cut CO2 emissions by 60%, and we also reduce the associated cost by 30%. And so we do that with the help of our patent-pending laser technology. And so what the laser does is it converts the existing carbon content of the paper fibers into a conductive material similar to graphite. So we are not like printing anything on our tags. We are really turning the paper into this conductive material. So that enables for the cost savings. And what it means for us is now we have a fewer number of components, the manufacturing process becomes massively simplified, and the end product is very much paper recyclable, because you can kind of think of it as like a pencil drawing on a piece of paper. I'm going to talk about our traction a little bit on this slide as well. So apart from being a participant of the Terra Carta Design Lab competition as well, we've just recently got into the Global Changemaker Awards by H&M Foundation. So that was an amazing validation point for us to be supported by the H&M group as well. And we've been able to secure a little bit of funding as well as grant money. And so that enables us to then go to market with our product. So this is what you can kind of see on this slide. We are first looking to commercialize a type of RFID tag called UHF, which stands for ultra high frequency. And this is just a version of RFID tags that is currently most heavily used for inventory management purposes, primarily in the fashion space. And we would then like to move on to other kind of like metal-free disposable electronic use cases, from sensors to heated packaging to kind of like interactive embedded features in paper-based product packaging. But ultimately, what we want to be able to do is to become a licensor of our technology. And we are looking to do that by basically directly integrating our laser heads into existing production lines. And so that way we can allow packaging manufacturers or hang tag manufacturers to tag their products on the side of production. This is what our team currently looks like. So my co-founder is Chloe, and she's the CEO of the company. And I'm the CTO, and we have a very much kind of like technology-focused team right now with engineers and scientists covering radio frequency, material science, and even laser technology. Cool. So I guess we are here to push advanced technology forward without compromising our natural resources. So yeah, we are here to simplify over-engineered electronics. Thank you.
Soma, I know you have quite a good relationship with H&M. You've been working with them for a while. Give us an idea of how many tags they have on their clothing and the contribution of those to their carbon footprint.
Okay, I can't use H&M as an example, but
a nameless one of a similar size.
Right. So if a major retailer like Zara would switch to our tags, they would already be able to save £9 million per year, and that's just cost savings on RFID tags.
And is that Zara in the UK or?
I think that's global.
Global?
I think so.
And how many, roughly, tags, do you have an idea? I mean, we know there are 45 billion that are used today, but if you have a lower cost, more effective tag, and it's in every Sensodyne package of toothpaste, you know, not, all right, and in all the materials that go around the marvelous universal park that we're seeing, because you can put it into brochures, into books, into all kinds of other things to enrich the experience.
Yeah, that is correct. So basically our technology is compatible with like paper materials, but other wood-derived materials as well, like cork, even cotton to some extent, cardboard as well.
Do you mean I could wear my RFID tag?
That is something that we're looking
No.
into as well, for sure, or like wood-based bioplastics as well. And so we are very much focusing on kind of like disposable electronics at the moment, because that's what makes sense with our values and with the recyclable aspect of our product. But anything from like marathon bibs to wristbands, you know, those paper wristbands, to greetings cards, like so many things can potentially have NFC tags or RFID tags in them. So all of those are kind of like potential use cases that we are exploring.
That's fantastic. Now, look, these are just 2 of the 10 different projects that emerged in this cycle. But there are more than 80 enterprises we've launched from the Royal College of Art over the last decade. That puts us in the top 5 university incubators in the United Kingdom, behind Imperial, yes, UCL, Cambridge, and we're arguing with Oxford about who is 4th and 5th as part of that. So you can see that this combination of thinking, this interdisciplinary approach, and I'm also delighted that Miles Pennington is. But he was one of the people behind bringing together Imperial College and the Royal College of Art to create the kind of amazing talent that we've got that combines entrepreneurship, business and design, but as you can see, driven by values and also on a very clear mission. Now there is one more project we didn't have time to be able to bring up on stage today, but you'll see outside, and you'll get a chance to see it. You'll see it next to these wonderful exhibits, and it's called Ponder. And Ponder also is so impressive because of the following. Are you all getting out your quilts now, your puffer jackets? Has anybody worn one today? And yeah, and you know what it's made out of, Dacron and all the rest of the stuff that every time you wash it, particles go out there. Now imagine, well, not just yours, but I'm sure everybody else's too. Yes, now, the particles get into the water, that's the great source of microplastics, and we're trying to eliminate that. Imagine also wetlands. The wetlands on this planet absorb as much carbon and sequester that as all the rainforests. Did you know they're home to 50% of the world's biodiversity? But if you're a farmer in the UK or in Chile or wherever, you'll be draining your wetland to plant barley and wheat instead of using it for the earth. So can you create an economic product from that wetland? And Ponder is that. By growing bulrushes, you can then extract the seed from the bulrush, reprocess what has now become known as biopuff, and use that. And Montclair, Stella McCartney, and others are the partners already working with Ponder to do just that. So, a fantastic business model combined with all those other elements that we'll need to sustain our planet. Well, look, one of the big hurdles also, just to give a little answer, of course, is raising investment. So far, at the Royal College of Art, we've raised about $250 million worth of investment for the ventures that have come through. It's been a fantastic return for us because we have a small stake in almost all the ventures that go through, but it's also produced not only marvelous returns for those who invested, but marvelous returns for our planet, coming back to being the remedy. Can I ask you all to stand on your feet for a moment again? Shout it out! I am the remedy.
I am the remedy.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.